Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high quality. Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
A very pleasant good day to you, and welcome to the Beaumont Curling Club. Here we are bringing you the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series. This is event 2 in the series, and this match is between Serena Withers out of Edmonton against Team Kayleigh Shannon from Calgary. I'm Dave Schmel. I'm joined by Shawn Joyce today, and we're very happy that you're joining us today. Shawn? Yeah, we don't know a lot about these teams.
We know that they're all pretty young. We've got the University of Alberta team here, the big A on the chest. You see these jackets with a lot of the U of A teams, and Rob Krupp's coaching them as he has for a lot of years. And I think the other team might be younger. 12 teams on the women's side. There's another 12 playing on the men's side, all looking for a shot to be one of the 6 teams in the playoffs for each division come Sunday. This is the opening draw.
And it is red here with Hammer and number 1. And getting right into it with the corner guard.
Yeah, we don't always see that, but we're into mid-season now. A lot of these teams have played a lot of games. They're as comfortable as they're ever going to get. They had the practice session, of course, before the game, so they've got an idea of the draw weight, and they won the draw to the button.
And here the guard attempt by McMahon.
Ireland McMahon is the lead. Madison Millot. I'm going to pronounce the names wrong again today. I apologize in advance to anybody watching. Shiana Lind is the third, and Kayleigh Shannon the skip.
And if mom or dad are at home or grandma is watching on the feed, go in the chat and feel free to correct us. The phonetic pronunciation was always appreciated.
Well, somehow this one seems right that they're throwing the Red Rocks because the lead for the Grey Withers team is Zoe Cinnamon.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsay Burgess is the second. That is the third, I believe, with the brush down. Catherine Clifford and Serena Grey Withers the skip in the house. At least they're not confusing us with lineup issues. They're throwing 1 through 4. It's not one of those ones where the second is actually skipping the team, and those just mess up the announcer early in the season or early in an event.
Oh, especially if we're not familiar with it. So, nice little shot there.
Yeah, rolled out the open past the guard, but that's never a bad spot to be because you've got last rock here. The other team's not going to ignore that stone. When they hit it, they're going to be behind the tee line and either wider than the guard. It's not going to be a threat anyway. So you've got maybe a chance to play an offensive shot on your next call. Boy, especially if they stay right there. She might go after the rock in the 8 foot. You could come around that corner guard too.
It looks like you are going to take on the rock in the 8 foot there, and try to get the roll over.
Yeah, she's not wrong here. There's a couple of ways she could go at it, and of course, this is the same shot basically that they just ended up with. If she rolls in behind the guard, she's good. If she rolls past the guard again, she might end up in front of that other yellow stone, and that's a good result too.
Gets a hit, but not too much of a roll. And here's the second from Madison.
Tough spot here for the Shannon team really in the first stand is you can't really ignore that stone. It's in the 8 foot. There's no good place to roll. If you roll too far to the outside, she comes around the corner. If you hit it right on the nose, she's still got another chance to make that roll behind the corner or in front of the yellow one at the back. Boy, they're going to have to go just to hit enough of this to get it out.
A lot of life in these rocks here at Beaumont, and that one did make it through the house with some help.
Two yellows are grouped, so she's looking at the double. Again, there's no reason here why she couldn't come around the corner guard other than that it's the first end, and she might like to keep the possible blank alive too. Hits this right, it could spin up in behind the corner too.
All the way down, holding it for the line there. It's going to come pretty much right up to the beak. There's a worse place to be.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way they had it drawn up, but it works. For the Shannon team here, you make the play on this red stone, you're going to lose one of the yellows for sure, right? The one behind the red or your shooter. And then again, there's the chance for Gray Withers to come around the corner. She's looking at the hit and roll again. I'd be really tempted to come around the corner. You make the hit and roll dead behind cover, you're going to force Kayleigh Shannon to play the freeze to it. But it is going to be just behind the tee line, and if she makes that freeze, your blank's out of the question, and you might get forced this end.
And ostensibly, it's an easier shot to throw the draw as opposed to trying to manage the perfect roll.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, it's the first end. It's nothing's a give me. It's just you can get in front of the tee line. You could stop, 2 feet in front of the tee line with the draw. There was no way to play the hit and roll and end up in front of the tee line.
So this is Shiana Lynn. Hit and come off to the edge.
Yeah, that's not a bad result. They might have liked to get underneath, but by rolling to where they did, by the time Gray Withers rolls back to the corner guard, she's again going to be behind the tee line.
So here's Catherine Clifford.
Might be a little strong on the weight this time. Hangs around. That's all she needed to do. I mean, again, Kayleigh Shannon's not going to ignore an opposition rock in the rings when she doesn't have last rock here. So she's got to make a play on this. It is probably getting high enough up in the rings now that if somebody made a roll behind the corner, they would be in front of the tee line. It's close because you're rolling 3 feet. You're going to come on a bit of an angle. You'd probably be right at the tee line if you make the roll.
So Kayleigh Shannon, the young skip. With our first.
You can definitely hit and roll and stay in front of the tee line now. So I would expect to see Serena play this fairly aggressively. If you over-roll it and roll way over to the other side, so be it. You're probably going to have a chance to blank the end. But if you make the roll here, and you look at that broom location, like she's going aggressive for the roll here. She's already got the broom in the middle of the rock. This is a good call. I like to see this. You've seen a few rocks in a row now just stay right there and nose hit. She wants to roll here.
Taking virtually basically no ice. Will be a nice shot of it's made.
Yeah, we don't have the weight calls, so we don't know how much she's trying to throw here. But if she's throwing up weight, she's probably looking at 3/4. If she's still throwing it quiet, she might be able to get away with half a rock. So she's starting where she's expecting it to curl, and off and on. It should be close.
Get the hit, and here comes a roll, and it tucks pretty good. A little bit exposed, though. You can certainly dig it out. Not a bad effort at all.
No, good effort. Makes it tricky. Now, if you absolutely needed the force and it wasn't the first end of the first game, you might be able to get across the face of that with hack weight, but I don't think anybody's going to try that this early in an event because you don't have a good enough feel of the ice yet. Objective 1 here is just make this go away. Part 2 of that is if you could leave your shooter in the rings somewhere on the other side in a spot where nobody's played yet, at least you force Gray Withers to make a shot for the blank.
On the way down, cleared the guard without a problem. And that will lead us to a blank attempt.
And as we're about to watch them attempt to blank, and I don't know whether you had heard this yet, Dave, or not, but I saw, I believe it was John Cullen posting earlier today that at the next Grand Slam, they're testing a new rule.
I did, and I think I'd love to talk about that.
I love the idea. I've been waiting for them to test that for years, but if you blank 2 ends in a row at that event, you will lose the hammer. So what it means is you get a blank, such as what we're about to see here, and the next end, that team with hammer has to play to score, which, I've said for a few years now, I think that's the point we're at, is you see too often, well, this is going to go to plan B. It's crossed. They have to watch that red that's just hanging outside the rings.
It hits and it does make it out.
That is not the side of the rock she was trying to hit, but it works.
So the blank is in the books. They'll retain the hammer when we come back.
What do you got? You got 1, you got 2, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You
make moments like these possible.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
And welcome back to the Beaumont Curling Club. It's a Hack2House Alberta curling series. And we had a blank in the first, and we had just started talking about the new blank rule that is going to be debuted at the Slams. And I agree with you, Shawn, that I think it's going to get some action because, we've seen so many of these big events have 2 or maybe 3 consecutive blank ends again. And it just... there's a lot of good shooting that makes it happen, but it's
a combination. The shooting's a part of it. The equipment is part of it as well. I mean, I'm on the older side. My playing days are kind of behind me, but I grew up playing with let's face it, rocks where if you threw 10-second hits, you weren't making a lot of triples, and now you can, because we're playing with for the most part newer stones in most places. The striking bands people know how to maintain them. The rocks and even the ice surface. We tended to have frosty corners, so if you're trying to drive rocks out the side, they wouldn't go. Well, it's a lot easier to make those hits now, and so teams practice them. They've gotten very good at them. Rocks fly, and what you see, in my opinion, maybe a little too much, because last rock is deemed to be the offensive advantage, but you see and hear all the time the team with last rock talking about, well, we got to play this shot to keep the blank alive. Well, that's a defensive mentality, and if we're going to give you the offensive advantage, maybe you should have to play offense. And that'll be what happens. If you blank one end and you know the next end you can't blank it or you lose the hammer, you're going to see those teams play offense, and it'll be interesting to see how the strategy evolves through that at that Grand Slam. I've said for years, if you really want to score with last rock in the 5 rock free guard zone, it's pretty hard for the other team to stop you from scoring too. They almost have to play to steal to play defense, and that could get real interesting.
Gonna definitely be interesting. So we're starting this end off with the center guard over curling a little bit. They did get the come around. Now trying to get the corner freeze. That one just a couple pounds too heavy there.
Yeah, they might have been better to bring that back too, because it could have left the double. Now she's just looking at the hit and roll, but you make the double on the reds and you're sitting 2 with one of them buried. You're in a good spot here to try the force here in this second end. With that first guard being that far off the center line, it's hard to see this coming out to a steal.
Taking another second to get lined up here.
Yeah, you definitely need a big roll here. You only roll a foot or 2, you probably leave a double back on the yellows.
On the way here for Madison Malo, trying to sneak past the guard here and get the right angle on it. On the one, I'm going to roll over, but not a long way.
Enough, though. She's sitting 2, and she got that one deep enough they can't make a play onto the other Yellowstone off of it.
This is starting to curl on him. Don't want to lose it. Makes a takeout, but you do lose that shooter. So now if you make a, would you prefer to hit and stick here or play for a big roll?
Yeah, I'd prefer to stay just right there. I mean, if you make the roll, that's great because you're probably in the 4 foot, probably still at or just above the tee line. The problem is it's a 6 foot roll, and more often than not, when you try for 6 foot roll, you roll 4 feet and leave a 2 foot roll for your opposition. You make the nose hit, you're still in a good shape to get the force. Got to hold the shooter here. Rolls out again, though.
And did lose that shooter again. Now we're going to run the guard, and the blank may be alive again.
It could be, yeah. She's allowed to do it here.
Yep.
It's just the slam where they're testing that roll. Not going to make the run back.
This one does over curl.
I'm not going to hold the shooter either.
Another opportunity to lie to.
Yeah, lie to or guard that. You got to make a decision here which way you want to play it. You might want the guard just a little bit higher then if you're guarding it, just so the run back isn't as inviting.
See, she's indicating she wants somewhere in the vicinity of a 3 guard.
Well, I think she's going to get more of like an 8 guard or deeper.
And I do bring it back all the way to the back 12. So they do lie to. Not the easiest double for sure. Especially if the T-Rex decides to close its mouth. So Catherine Clifford on this one's got to hold it straight. Just one over the top.
Yeah, I just don't think they knew for sure how much that rock was going to curl, so it was a bit of a guess. You saw it, they were cleaning right away, and then when the sweep call did finally come, it was just too late, couldn't hold it. Hard to blame them for that, though. They've had a couple of spots where they've seen takeouts go dead straight, and that one came up on them a bit.
That's the first game of the event for either team, so...
Yeah, well, this is some danger. It's very close to a jam.
Make the hit. You never want to jam it there. Oh, you just get by. I'll let you know for the safe takeout here.
Yeah, and again, probably not in the second end of the first game of an event, but there are certainly teams here, and this team might be one of them. Later on in an event, if they felt like they knew the ice, had a better handle on the weight and everything like that, you could see them even play a freeze to a shot like that. A lot of teams are content to try to score in the even end anyway, and it's pretty risk-free if you think you've got a good handle on draw weight, like you're going to be in the neighborhood. Just pretty tough to do that in the second end of the first game.
Well, I'm sure their coach has all the analytics on that.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Rob's been a top coach at the university level for a lot of years, so quite involved at the Saville Center, which was has been the National Training Center. So they've got access to all the equipment for analyzing delivery and brushing and everything else too.
This one is curling quite a bit as well. Have to hold it hard just to get a piece. Hard to get a piece. A little sliver will do you. So at least what we've seen early on, a lot more curl in the center of the sheet, it looks like.
Yeah, or it could be the one side versus the other. I mean, that's the intern side going towards the glass that had some big movement there. This is interesting because this is something that they don't get to do during practice. You know, all of the practice is geared towards draw to the button. It's so important to have that last rock. And here in a round robin competition, it's not just for last rock in the game. That can be your tiebreaker later on. So everything's geared towards that. They don't get a lot of chances to draw to the corner early. And here's a chance for Serena Gray Withers to find out, well, is the speed the same to the corner? How much does it curl?
Also, oftentimes you see that this type of shot, this first attempt, come up light.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if she didn't make sure it was at least there. You light the other teams coming around it, but this is her chance to figure out the path for that draw around a corner guard that could set up her deuce in a game where it looks like we're headed for a second blank end. Any opportunity to get a deuce could be huge. That's pretty good movement. She had Broom on the center line. If that gets to the tee line the way it was curling, it was going to be just fully outside the edge of the 8, I think. So, you know, a little bit more than 4 feet, 4.5 feet. Plenty of curl to the corner. You could certainly get around a corner guard.
Should set up some nice ends later on. Now, Kayleigh Shannon will just look to make this one go away.
And she almost got a miscue on the blank attempt last end, and it was an out turn on the other side of the sheet. So I don't know whether they would have discussed that or not, but you might want to try to roll all the way to the other side of the sheet. Well, she's going to have to try to stay first. Well, I feel like this one shouldn't be too adventurous.
Yeah, I've jinxed a lot of blank ends, and I think this one has a good chance. Final stone of the second. And it will sail through the wings into the great beyond. And we remain scoreless, and they will keep the hammer. We'll be back from Beaumont right after this.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
And we're back here at the Beaumont Curling Club. Here on Curling Stadium, we'll have the coverage for you all weekend. Every sheet of every game. Bringing you events this weekend from Beaumont and North Bay. So double action for us.
Mixed doubles on in North Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Men and women here in Beaumont, 12 teams on each side. This is first draw for the women. The men will be on later on for their opening draw. 14 pools. I believe they're playing 3 games round robin and then on to the playoffs. 6 teams on to the playoffs.
And actually coming up for our next feature drill from this event, you get to see one of the men who make the magic happen here at Curling Stadium. One of our production technicians, Ryan Jakes, will be on the game.
Probably worth explaining that first guard thrown up in a good spot. It was actually in the no-tick zone, but you can move your own guard. Had that been the opposition's guard, you could not have done that. And she certainly didn't want to move her own guard, but it is a legal play.
Now there's 2 rocks to come around, so now you're definitely going to accept that invitation.
Well, and even off the center line, it's still a free guard, so they can't peel. They're going to have to make a bit of more of an offensive play. This has got a ton of room.
Room for days. Taking the curl now nicely. End up edge on edge.
With the amount of room she had coming by the guard, you got to believe that you could get to the inside of that and get under cover. The question is, do you want to take the risk of flirting with the guard?
So Madison on the
That's
takeout
tight.
attempt.
That was way tight out of her hand. You know, I've talked to statisticians before, and I don't know how you score that shot. Like, she flat out missed what they were playing and got a great result out of it. Now, admittedly, good awareness in the house, because they called the sweep off right away and they were looking at that raise just from a few feet out of their hand. I mean, they knew they had a better chance at that than what they had at making what they had originally called, and that's a skill too, knowing to switch to plan B.
And you definitely need to be engaged as a front end brushing to not give up on a stone, because the skipper might see something that you have no idea is there.
Yeah.
Again, that one didn't get all the way under, so they're going to be able to take a play at it.
Better release.
Definitely has some room to go, though. Kind of jam it on their own and leave it buried.
That could have been just a combination of things. It was a better release, but if anything, there was a bit of a pop on it. And the other part of it is, because the first stone was, I hate to be too critical, but it was not thrown particularly well. So you don't get a very good read on the spot on the first one either. It's possible they would have had the wrong ice on the first one, but they don't learn that because the first one wasn't thrown up the sticks. So it gets a little later in the end and it results in a miss. The draws certainly haven't been finishing real hard here.
Here's this come around. Well, now they have their own backing, and it does leave. It's in a slightly better spot. They're going to have to play a run of some sort. But just like that, a couple little missteps, and you're looking at a 3 building.
Yeah. That was not wide either.
On it right out of our hand. And this is going to just peel and wreck on the way in. And the shooter will come to the back of the tee line.
Yeah, that gives Grey Weathers a chance to draw over to that side. There's a double on the other side, but it's hard to guard everything with one stone. So you come around the other corner, and you've actually got that yellow behind it that'll protect from a. You leave half of this open, and it still probably jams. You don't want to be too deep here. You did see her look over at the 2 reds. If you get to the tee line here, it would be close to leaving angle for a triple.
So Catherine Clifford.
Just needs to be full 8 around the guard. Half around the guard is lots. Line looks really nice.
Beautiful line. Now, do they have the perfect weight?
They get away with it. It's a little deep, but the angle that it's left out, if they tried the triple, it's going into that yellow at the back 12. Still probably trying to roll towards it, I would think. Make the double on these 2, roll towards the one that was just thrown. Might be able to see the corner in front of it.
Yeah, that seemed to be the indication. Shawn Lind. This one's going to not curl up enough and only take out 1.
And really roll too far. It's not second shot. There's no reason for Serena to even pay attention to that stone. Yeah, that's the goal.
And she'll just come around again. It just goes back to the one little miscue, and even had a little bit of a life raft there, but still going to be in trouble.
Yeah, they're spending too much time worrying about getting third shot here. It's really not necessary because Shannon's going to have to make a play. If this is buried, she's got to make a play on the one on the other side because she can see it. So you're going to have a way to get rid of that yellow on the other side later if you need to. Just it's more important to make sure this is buried than to worry about having third shot here. Take a little bit more ice to make sure that it's got enough of the 8-foot, and you could end up leaving a double somewhere. It's got to get behind cover.
It's going to grab the curl now. The question is the weight going to be in a good spot? End up going to come right on down to their own.
Kayleigh Shannon's in some trouble here. Looking at the corner freeze to try to cut the damages anyway. I mean, you make it absolutely perfect, you might be able to be shot rock, but you also might be able to give up 4 like this too.
Well, from the broom placement, it looks like they're just kind of trying to take it out with a quiet weight.
I can't see her trying to move it very far. She might try to move it a few inches.
Yeah, as you can see, as you can see there in the overhead, it's about 2 feet of ice.
Well, closer to 3. She's playing the inter. She's coming to the 2 rock behind the corner. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got to sit right on the corner if she's going to be shot rock. Even if she gets close to the face and sits second for now, that's not bad. She really needs this in a spot where they can't get it out. She's going to be a little warm.
Is that good enough?
Probably not. Depends who's fourth shot right now. And the reason I say that is because when Serena goes after this rock, she's going to probably have to lose one of the reds behind it. So you've got the red at the 9 o'clock position, just touching the tee line, and the yellow that's corner frozen over at whatever you want to call it, 230. Which one of those is closer right now? Because when the yellow goes, there's a chance that red at the 8 o'clock position is going as well. So who's going to have second shot after that? She could play to hit this 3/4 broom side, have it come off the red stone that I was just asking if it's third shot, and hope that it clears the one at the back, and it might. But then her shooter's going to roll towards the center line. She could leave a double or perhaps even a triple that way. It's going to be interesting to see where all the rocks end up after this one, even if she makes it. And with that amount of ice, she's not throwing this, ultra quiet either.
What's the biggest possible danger?
It's all about what she leaves. If she's straight back on this, I think it misses the one at 9 o'clock, clips the one at the back, and if you look at where her shooter's going to be, it could leave a relatively good angle for a triple.
It's going to come on up.
Yeah, it doesn't clear the back when it does. That's good.
And they lie 3 for now, I believe.
Yeah, but if you make the double, you've almost made the triple. There were a couple of things at play here, and you had to make sure you hit the first one thin enough to catch the second red, thick enough to go over to the top of the back red, and they did. They just got over the top of the back when you didn't want to move it. But where she rolled, if you're about a third of a rock on the first one, that makes the first double. But now look at where that red stone's going to be coming back towards the one that's currently third shot at the back of the 8. They're just set up in a way that if she makes the double, she's probably making the triple. And here's the thing. If this over curls and she just hits that first one a little too thick, she probably rolls over, corner freezes the red, and she's likely still shot rock. You can't get it out.
So, Kayleigh Shannon, big shot here.
Yeah, trying to get out of trouble.
Coming down with plenty of weight, big extension on the delivery.
This
angles look pretty good. Here goes 1, 2, and 3 out the door.
Yeah, just where that last one rolled to, the angles were just too good for Shannon. If you made the double, you see how easily she catches. She catches plenty of that third stone to make it go. I didn't see the discussion here. I don't know whether you could almost try this without a lot of risk to throw some weight, try to hit the one that was just delivered. Hit it first, come into the top of the other one and spin up a little bit. You only have to nudge that third stone, 6 inches to sit to, and there's no way you're rolling out. It's just a little scary that if you hit that top stone first, you could spin all the way out. She's not playing that with quiet weight like that. She's just looking to hit for her single. She popped that back a little bit.
Serena Gray Withers with the final rock of the third. Gonna get it right there on the beacon. Score one. So Kayleigh Shannon dodged a bullet here in end number 3. We'll be back with the 4th after this. You're watching Curling Stadium.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Join us this March for the House of Hearts Charity Bonspiel in Duluth, Minnesota. Help raise funds for Project Joy, who provides meals for hungry kids in our community. Every donation helps to ensure no child goes hungry. Join us and make a difference. Together, we can spread joy.
And welcome back. It's the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series. Want to thank them for sponsoring this event. Here at the Beaumont Curling Club, Serena Gray Withers got a single point. But the happiest person on the ice right now is Kayleigh Shannon, who dodged up a bullet from like a 4.
Yeah, had to make a triple with her last one. It's only 3 ends in, and it's the first event of the season. Well, the first event of this, or first draw of this event. But already we're seeing the leads for both teams now having trouble hitting that center line. We've only seen one guard hit the center line so far, and it was only just barely.
So this corner guard comes up, and now they're going to elect to come around. Need to get this one in the right spot, or else you might give your opponent something to use.
Yeah. It's a little bit of an unusual way to go about it too. When you're coming around a guard like that, that's a foot off the line. Usually, if you don't have last rock, you'll come around from the wide side, because if you're short, it's a corner guard. But if you've got last rock, the more natural way is to come around the center line side, because if you're short, it's a center guard. Got it into the 8-foot. It's mostly undercover. Now Shannon's going to try to come around it from the center line side. And this is one where, again, she could come around from the wide side. She could ignore this altogether and go around her corner guard too. That stone in the 8-foot is not a real threat.
This one lacks the weight to get there. It's going to just tick off.
This is the problem about coming around the center line side with last rock. She just left her center guard.
So
big opportunity here. This put a lot of pressure on. That stone in the 8-foot now, that's far enough off the center line and high enough up in the rings. You don't expect to be able to steal with a rock like that. But if you bury on this guard, get it to the top of the 4-foot, that's a rock you could steal a point with. Line looks really nice.
Line looks nice. Not done much for weight yet. It's going to settle down right top 4.
That's a really good stone.
Fantastic curling shot.
This is where I think you count to 5 and realize you can start peeling guards.
This one has room past the guard. It looks like it may be just a pound heavy. Needs to come on up.
Yeah, it doesn't want to bounce off.
And they did bounce out, and they further buried their opponent's rock.
Yeah, the only good thing about that is they force her to make a play on it, so she can't play another guard. I like the roll under. That's what she was looking at first. I get what she's looking at. It's a little riskier, but there looks to be enough daylight. The roll away is a safer call for sure. Your opposition has kind of showed you they're willing to play the freeze. So if you roll away, she's probably going to play it again. Ooh, that's a big pop on the release.
And this one is only going to catch a piece of it. And it won't even stay in the rings.
Yeah, that was just the release. That was a little more than what we just call a positive release. That was kind of a distinct backwards motion. Just enough to hold it there.
So now the peel attempts are forthcoming.
Yeah. Ooh, another pop.
No, never right off the hand.
You can just tell that both of these teams are used to playing with aggressive stones that have been conditioned. And you see that with a lot of teams nowadays. They've all taught themselves, we can't be soft on the release. We've got to make sure that we're good, positive. And every once in a while, you'll just give it a little bit too much. And then it's got no chance to curl. It'll stay right there. She's still going to get a piece of the rock. Most of the time, you're not going to see them flare it so bad that they don't get anything. But once in a while, you'll get one that just runs dead straight. And we saw that on the last two.
Just putting the guard back.
Yeah, you'd like to get some overlap here. If you don't, they could elect to just play the straight run on the yellow. That's a sliver in front, probably enough.
Hit this in the right spot, you might get all three of those guards moving.
Yeah, you could. If you're close to getting all three, that yellow's probably coming back towards the two in the house as well. It's a better release. This is close.
You get the one.
Oh,
over the top. Good effort at that. Now, good news for them is they're going to get a shot, a chance to do that again, courtesy of.
Yeah, now depending on how high you put this, you could change the angle quite a bit. That one was fairly tight to the yellow, so to get it at the right angle to slash it back, she actually had to hit the first one, a little thinner than you might like to. She was very close to making it. This one's a little higher. She's going to have to be closer to a nose hit. Now, you could almost make a play at the stone on the rings. Not even going to look at it. I think if you hit what you could see of the stone on the rings, you might make the over-the-top double. Now, I mean, you'd have to flirt with the guard for that. And if you're going to do that, you may as well try the double peel anyway. This one a lot thicker. It's not going to.
Yeah, just going to catch the top one and
off the guard.
Off the guard. Bury your opponent's rack further.
Well, that probably changes the next call too, or at least I would think the potential is there to change the next call because the blank is no longer an option.
Mm-hmm.
That biter at the back means even if you make a double, you're not getting a blank.
So ideally, where do you want to see this one end up?
Where do I want to see it end up, or where are they trying to put it? I'd be guarding the two reds because it's a makeable double, and it's hard to put a rock in the rings here coming around the guard like she's doing, where you might not leave a triple. I guess if you're coming around this way, you'd want to be, full 8 probably at the most, because if you start getting into the 4-foot, that's when the potential for a triple comes in. Put this full 8-foot, let her have a chance at the double. If she makes it, you come around again. And if she doesn't, you might be guarding with your last one trying to steal.
Here's the first for Serena Gray Withers.
That's going to have a ton of room. She's very distinct in-out motion. And a ton of weight.
That needs to settle down. Comes all the way to the back. So now you certainly could take a...
She almost has to draw.
Yeah.
I mean, you could play the double, and you should be sure you've got room to score that way. Boy, you could almost make the double and roll half undercover. That's greedy. That would be an absolute phenomenal shot. I think her first thought was the draw, and they're going back to that. If you had a little bit more air by the guard, you might try it.
So Kayleigh Shannon gonna try to draw her way out of a pickle here.
lot of room.
Does have a lot of room. This needs to curl over.
Oh, there it goes.
Now it takes the curl. Do you still have enough gas in the tank to get to it? Gonna get just to the top 4.
You know, that's all right, though. It cuts out those other 3 stones. It's a dangerous rock. It makes it hard for Grey Withers to draw again. And that double is still there at the top, which would be for 2. I tend to think Serena's almost got to guard it. She's looking at playing the slash right onto the yellow.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of room between them. That's pretty risk-free.
So slash these out and lie 3 and put the force on.
If you can hit this first one thin enough, you can still lie 4. And that's probably what you'd like to do. Slash it, just dead jam it into the yellow. You'd end up with the red stone's Christmas tree, and she'd have to draw to the button. It's thinner than you think on the first one to do that, though. Well, thin's not going to be the problem. The question is going to be, does she hit it at all?
Gonna come on over, just catch a sliver of it, and look at that rock go.
But that's what I mean about it was thinner than you think. Like, she almost missed that stone and hit it just exactly perfect. Dead stuffed it. So you can see the 2 red stones. She can only see a quarter of the top one and maybe a third of the second one. She can't play any kind of hit. She's got to draw cold to the button. And that means she's got to take a little more ice than she took on the first one, too. So it's not even the same path.
Big pressure shot here for Kayleigh Shannon.
Biggest benefit for the brushers here is last time they had to wait for the line. Line's not an issue this time. They just got to put it right on the tee line.
Final stone of the 4th. Facing 4. Need to grab the button.
Gonna have to go to get by the reds, I think.
That is going to be on the top one, I think, but they have a lot of weight. Just grabs a little piece and ends up right on the pin. So, out of trouble there. It's tied up at 1 after 4. You're watching Curling Stadium.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution. Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Welcome back to Beaumont. Dave Schmel and Shawn Joyce here with you. We're not up at 1 after 4, and how about look at some of those other scores?
Yeah, they weren't updating right at the start of the game, but we've got a lot of them now, and some of them actually have gotten lopsided by the first update. Ashley Teveno out of Saskatoon with a 6-0 lead after 3 ends of play over Nancy Hansen. Hannah Phillips, 2-0 after 3 over Kelly Stixma. Michelle Hartwell, 3-2 lead over Keely Duncan. That one in the 4th inning, and Duncan does have last rock there. Suyun Kim, 4-0 right now over Heather Steele. That one in the 4th inning. And Nikki Kaufman and Carrie Galusha tied at 3 apiece as they play in the 4th. Kaufman's got last rock there. Got that in before they got the first rock underway.
Well done, and thank you for the update. So, after dodging a major bullet in the last end, that's what brought us here. They were facing 4, and that was a tough situation to be in for sure.
Yeah, facing 4 with last rock. I don't know which end she was in better shape. She was facing 4 with last rock there. She was facing 3 without the end before and had to make a triple. Be one of those things where one of these ends, they're going to need to get some yellow rocks in the house. Again, with a center guard attempt that not able to hold the center line.
See that from the overhead there, it's about a good foot off the center line. Now here comes the corner guard attempt from Zoe Cinnamon. They just get that over the hog line. And this Shannon team, I noticed, it appears that they pulled a fast one on us, and Madison Mylod is throwing lead. And it's Ireland McMahon throwing second.
Somebody had to help you with that.
I figured that one out all by myself.
Or did you catch it on the jersey? Because
yeah.
I was going to say, I'm showing my age here, but all these young girls look alike to me. It's a good thing they got different colored jerseys because they all look just way too young to be playing in competitions like this. But that's the nature of the game nowadays, is that the players are getting younger, and the younger players are getting more of a chance to play in these types of events and get the exposure and get the experience, and that can only benefit them in the years to come.
Buried that one nicely, whoever threw it.
Used to be, if you saw players this young at an event like this, they were playing lead or maybe lead and second for a more experienced back end. These are young teams that are managing to stick together through juniors and through university and into open play on both the men's and women's side. Oh, that. Yep. Even before we saw it, I saw her reaction, and I was pretty sure it picked.
And it's going to end up being a corner guard, so it probably picked to the best place the stone could pick to.
It's a pretty wide corner.
Yeah, it's quite cornery.
You'd have to pick the same probably to get around it. It's hard to call those.
For another guard here.
Would not have wanted it sitting there.
Well, I
You
feel
could
like
almost,
yeah.
the double peel's easy, and it might come back. You might get all three of them. Half a rock, you make the double, and the one that's on the center line now, it's going to come fairly straight back, I would think. She's not going to play it that way. She's going to. This is the tougher way to make the peel and make sure you roll out of the way. It's real easy with playing it this way to leave your shooter right there.
Lindsay Burgess trying to hold this, and well, they do leave their shooter there and just roll over their opponent's stone a little bit.
Yeah, that was an easier double peel the other way.
I'd say we could draw that up on the Etch-a-Sketch and hand it to them, but I don't think any of them ever owned one. So try to make a better guard here.
Needs to close the gap a little. I think they got it just far enough.
Now I take this other double on.
Yeah, but even if you make it, that's a better guard now. So if you make the double, she's coming around the center. And that's why they're looking at playing the guard. You got two doubles you can play this way. You can play the double peel, and if you just miss the second guard, you might get the rock in the rings. But this is the more dangerous guard. If you make that other double, she's coming around into a spot where she could steal. That rock sitting in the 8-foot now, it might be able to get you a force, but you'd expect to be able to outdraw that with your last one.
Double peel on the way. 1, 2, and off they go. Very well thrown shot.
Yeah, and now Shannon pretty much has to play for a straight guard on that. You saw her, we're only in the first game, and I'm already getting myself confused. Was it last into the end before where she was trying to guard? I think it was the third. She was trying to guard a rocket and just offset the guard a little bit, leave her a piece on the outside so that if she went after the rock in the rings, she'd have a better guard to draw around. Well, she can't do that here because if you leave her a piece of that rock in the rings, she's got two corner guards to roll behind. So you pretty much have to play a straight guard, and this is a long ways out and maybe a lot of weight.
That is going to come into the rings.
Yeah, that's not much of a guard.
So, pretty much right down Broadway here.
Yeah, this is a good chance for Gray Withers to get back to a blank here, which in the fifth end of a game that has been so tightly contested, she's going to hit this a little thick. She'll sit in front of the other one. If you could ever get back to a blank end here and keep last rock into the sixth, I mean, you ask most of these teams at this level, they'd tell you that's where they'd love to be. Last rock in a tie game playing six, it's a pretty strong position.
I see they're electing to play the hit there. I was just wondering if there's ever a world where you try to sneak in behind those two.
Not likely in the fifth end of a tie game. You don't really want her to blank it, but blank's preferable to give it up to. Boy, she doesn't have a lot of weight here. She's got to hit this thin. I don't know if she's going to get the red out.
Gets across the tee line and does find its way out of the rings.
I'm surprised she's playing the role the direction she is. It looks easier to me to get buried going the other way. She might be thinking about keeping this in the open, and she's playing full force for the blank here. You're all buried. You still got a chance for your 2.
Gonna get the hit now, see what kind of roll we get. And not gonna make it undercover.
Yeah, it was a long roll either way. Maybe it was pretty close to the same, whichever way you went.
An opportunity here, you could try to get a little cute with it and roll into the cover yourself.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that though too. It's you roll, it's very easy to get to say 3/4 of that on the board side and roll past the guard. Well, if you roll too far and you get into the spot where she's going to have to try to score, there's nothing in the middle. She can come around the corner guard and try to score her 2 if she's going to be forced anyway. You're almost better off here if you just rolled half under and gave her enough that she might want to try to go after it. Well, you got to stay.
This is only going to get a little sliver. Clears the red rock, but they lose their shooter as well. Now it's straight up try for the skipped deuce.
Yep. And if you think back and remember, we're playing here in the 5th. This is the shot that Greyweather's got a chance to try in. Was it the 3rd end? No, it wasn't the 3rd. It's the 2nd. Mm-hmm. It would have been going the other direction. But she did get a chance to see how much curl there is to the corner. Probably doesn't want to be right to the tee line here. If you make it, I'm putting up the air quotes. You can't see me, but if you make it too good, this is the one where Kayleigh Shannon will come down and try to sit on the corner and get the force that way. So she'd like to stay probably a good foot and a half in front of the tee line if she could, and dead buried.
So Serena Withers. Looking to make this draw. It's around the guard, no problem. Now, how does the weight look? It's only going to get a little. It's going to end up stopping right in the peak there.
They let that die a little. This is interesting. There's some choices for Kayleigh Shannon. I think they're looking at the port, which, with quiet weight, you could probably make that port get to it. The angle slash on the red's probably there too, although you're throwing out really close to the boards. Or she could come right around everything, because that did stay fairly high in the rings. She could come to the back 8 even and still be shot rock.
That appears to be the call.
Yeah. Of the options, it should be the one that they have the best idea of the ice and the weight for.
That'll be up to Ireland and Madison. Make sure they get the skipper's rock there. Just put it in the window and let them deliver it.
Ooh, that's a big backwards release. You can still see it backing up off the line.
Now this does have to curl all the way to Calgary.
It's going.
Taking a big turn. Now, do they have enough weight left? Is there enough juice?
Just didn't have enough weight
Yep.
with that release. It's got to have just about all of it. Looks
Yeah.
kind of like all plus on the camera view.
Yep. So, chance for a deuce. Figure out that right placement. Hit and stick. Take your two.
Quiet hit with that broom. I'm thinking now she's tightening it up a little bit, so maybe throwing more like bumper. Only thing that makes this tricky, she's got to get close to the nose to make sure it doesn't touch the red, and by getting close to the nose, that means she's going to be flirting with the guard a little bit.
Final stone of the fifth end. Now to hold the line. Past the guard, no problem. Does it come up enough to make it clear? Yes, you will. And the skipper gets her deuce. Take a 3-1 advantage heading into end number 6. We'll be back from Beaumont right after this.
Don't forget your brooms.
You got it.
Come on. Okay, well, what do you got? You got one, you got two, you got...
Just one more please.
You make moments like these possible.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
And welcome back to the Beaumont Curling Club. It's the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series. Thank you for joining us here on Curling Stadium. If you haven't already, please take a chance to subscribe to us. It will help you to stay apprised of all your favorite teams. We have a big library of games available on our YouTube channel, and you can sort them out even by team to follow your favorites.
That library is going to get bigger every 3 hours all weekend long.
So Kayleigh Shannon with a wide corner guard there from Madison Milet. And there you go, buddy. There's a center guard on the center line.
There is, yes. But with a 2-point lead playing 6, I'm surprised she didn't play it into the house. You're in the 6th end here. You've got a 2-point lead. You could bring that first stone right into the top of the 4-foot. Shannon has to throw the corner guard. She needs to try to score 2 here. So you could throw a good stone into the house first and then guard it and not have to play a come around. Makes the come around perfect, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter which order you threw them in now.
I'm sure they're not going to throw tomatoes at you.
Well, and here's where that no-tick zone gets interesting, because she needs to make a play towards that shot stone. Well, before the no-tick zone, you might tight ice this broom a little bit, and if you touch the guard on the way by, at least it's open. Now if you touch the guard, it's a complete miss. The guard goes back, your shooter goes into the corner.
This is turning. It is going to be tight to the guard. And they just wick it.
Touches it, but it stays on center, so that is legal.
Now Serena Gray Withers is thinking guard here.
Sorry, Dave. We might have to rename the rule, because it's not a no tick. It's just a no excessive tick zone. She ticked it, but she didn't tick it off the line, so it stays. You know, there have been a few interesting possibilities. I haven't seen them happen yet. It was one of the things that was discussed when the rule was first being tested and brought into a few events. And I have to admit, I know a lot of the officials here in Saskatchewan, and I will tend to stir the pot so that I don't use any nasty words. and I just came up with a question for them. I said, so what happens if there's 2 guards up there? You go to throw the come around, you rub the guard, you hit the opposition's no-tick zone, it touches the other rock and spins back to the center line, and it's on the line when everything stops, because it did leave the center line, but it ended up there again. And they called me a bunch of nasty names, and then they had to phone and find out the answer. And I think they've decided if it ends up on the line, it's a legal shot. So,
that's interesting.
I haven't seen that one pop up yet, but I mean, the potential is there. You get 2 guards, one on the no-tick and one off, trying to come around it. It's a possibility it could happen.
It could actually happen with the setup we have right now.
Well, it could, except that this is the 6th stone.
Oh, of course, but the angles, the angles
there. Yeah.
Now that center guard never made it across the hog line, so run back and attempt, and it just appeals, so a chance to make a better guard now.
The other thing that they had to develop fairly early on was, and it basically, I think they're just using a T-square, they had to find a way to measure if a rock is actually touching the line or not. You won't see it at too many of the bonspiels. Usually somebody has to eyeball it, but at officiated competitions, I believe it's a T-square that they use to tell whether or not the edge of that stone is touching the line.
It's just another thing to make sure that you have on the ice and cold.
Yeah. I think here in Saskatchewan, they even had to go with an extra little thing, because I'm trying to think back and remember it. Just depends. Every event has got different placement on the logos, but in one of them, I think there was a logo across the center line, and you couldn't see the center line through the logo. So they had to have something that extended past the logo, and then still came up like that T-square, so you could see whether or not it was touching or not. So they have to have all this stuff, and then you probably go through an entire event and never have to measure one of those rocks once, but you have to be prepared if it happens. Just missed the double peel there.
If it
had caught a little more of that second rock, it could have come back. I think it touched it on the way by. I'm sure I saw it move.
It did move a little bit. Gonna have to make one of these, or else you might not have a way into the button.
We've got our rock counter's a little bit out here. Because Shannon's got last rock, so they've got 4 left. Because in my head, I was already looking at when is she going to play this short angle run.
So, should now be the answer?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's when I was counting the rocks. Oh, and now we put too many back. Shannon has 4, Greyweathers only has 3. If you have made it on, I would like to play it on thirds last. With me, and that's an aggressive play trying for 2, but if you dead stuff it, it's buried behind the red, and if you're a little off dead stuff it, there's a wall of yellows to roll behind. Like, there's a lot of really good results available off this. The problem is if you don't make contact with the red in the 4-foot, you're in all kinds of trouble.
This needs to come on over if it's going to get it.
Looks thin.
And it does not work out. They do
Well,
manage to skitter one into the ring.
Yeah, they got a bite, and that could matter. Keeps them from being able to play another guard anyway. Or even loop another one around. You could still just loop one around. I wonder if that's what they're talking about. Come right to the face of your own, dead buried.
This one needs to move. Comes up just enough.
Well, just enough to kill it, but it didn't get a bite.
Yep.
She's looking at the run. It'd be tempting to try because she can see a sliver of it on the outturn side. Can you get there with hack weight? The run is real tough. There's a lot of room between those rocks. So it's full 4 foot, so there's about 12 feet probably between those rocks. You could just miss it and leave it still partially covered.
And they're going to give it a shot.
Now, I will say, and again, this is a young team. We don't know them very well, but from what I've seen of it so far in this game, Shannon does look like she can throw some up weight. That gives her the better chance because you're hitting this very close to the nose, and if you don't make contact, you still want to roll away. She's got plenty of weight and good rotation, so she should roll off here.
It does gear on off and just makes a peel. Didn't quite curl up enough for the run.
Hard for Serena Greyweathers to make a better guard than what she had just a second ago, though. It was pretty much dead in line. Maybe a sliver available on the outturn side and a good depth as well. You get tighter to the rings, the run through's a little easier. If you're any higher, the hack waiter's a little easier. If she leaves a half rock on either side, there's room to roll behind corner guards. So this has got to be well placed.
Serena Gray Withers with her first. Taking the curl and making sure the weight's good too. That's a pretty good outcome.
Yeah, they had to go on it a bit for curl, so it's a little tighter than the last one. If she's taking a run at the double, there's less distance between them, but still
A lot.
There's still a lot, and if you make the double, Serena Gray Withers comes around something on a corner somewhere. I mean, there's going to be guards everywhere, and she's going to have the force as long as she's buried. And this still has to be made for that to happen. This is not a gimme.
Kayleigh Shannon with her first of the sixth. Gonna be pretty close. Need just a little bit. 1, 2. There you go. But as you mentioned, the guard is still right there. Take another look.
Probably not quite as much weight from Shannon as we saw from Lind, but that little bit less weight saved her actually, because it gave her that last little bit of curl that she needed to catch the rock in the rings. Leaves her shooter on the center line though, and something for Serena Gray Withers to come around. If she can come around, just bite the top of the button. You bite the top of the button, I don't see how Shannon could draw to beat it. She might have to play the run back again just to try to get either the blank, or if she sticks it, it's for one. Just made the guard on her first one, so the weight should be close here.
Trying to keep it moving. Drag it down there.
Really nice line coming in if they can get it far enough.
Beautiful line, and they get it right onto the nose, but looks like they should be able to see enough of that to blank their way out.
Yeah, she needed 2 to 3 feet more weight out of her hand. Probably 3 feet more out of her hand, so they could have waited a lot longer to sweep it. Wait till after it started to curl and try to finish it in behind. Still forces an attempt out of Kayleigh Shannon here, and the guard's in her sight line. She can only see, what would you say, 2/3 of it?
Yeah, about 2/3, and when you're throwing the last stone, the guard looks bigger.
Well, if she ever rubs the yellow guard on the way by, she could end up on the other red guard and push it in.
Final stone of the sixth.
I don't know if she's got the weight.
Gotta hold it. Gotta hold it. Oh, and you do wreck, and it will be a steal one for Serena Gray Withers.
Fortunate it was only one. It just passed by that red stone out in front. If it touches that, probably puts it in.
It's a 4-1 advantage, and we'll be back right after this.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort, to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Join us this March for the House of Hearts Charity Bonspiel in Duluth, Minnesota. Help raise funds for Project Joy, who provides meals for hungry kids in our community. Every donation helps to ensure no child goes hungry. Join us and make a difference. Together, we can spread joy.
Back here in the seventh end, Kayleigh Shannon just gave up a steal 1 and now faces a 3-rock deficit. Pleased to have you joining us here on Curling Stadium. Dave Schmel and Shawn Joyce. Got to go on the offensive here now.
Yeah, you really do. You're down 3. There's 2 ends to play. You're going to try to score at least a deuce here. So you're going to see them throw up the 1 corner guard. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them throw up 2. You'd like to keep the chance for 3 alive. If you only score 2 here, you're trying to steal 8 and then have to steal an extra end. If you could ever get a 3 here, you only have to steal once. And 3s do happen in the 5-rock free guard zone. More than you think, especially when you see a team play aggressively, trying to score. Now, you don't always see that. You don't see the team throw 2 corner guards as often because the danger is you ignore too many rocks in the middle and things can go south. But the scoreboard kind of dictates here. She's got to play aggressive.
Yeah. Invariably, if you do that, you're going to end up having to throw some sort of big weight shot in the end. So another one just comes in the rings. Serena Gray-Withers is happy just to live there. And tapped the house as if we're coming right on.
Yeah, she did. She might end up with the 2nd quarter anyway. And this is not a bad way to miss this shot.
That's definitely the pro side to miss on.
Yeah. Well, it's really hard to try to score 3 with only 1 guard. So if you wanted to go aggressively for 3, you needed 2 guards anyway. You do see a lot of teams play that 2nd guard on the same side to make sure they've still got a draw path to the middle. This guard might over curl.
It needs to find the breaks, and it does.
Just maybe. I still think there's room if she wants to play something soft to try to get around there, move the reds, or at least move 1 red and roll towards that corner. You don't need big weight here. Back line, it's not critical to kill the red. It's more important to control the shooter. Oh, she's playing the run. Aye.
Ireland McMahon with a very distinct wind-up before shot. Run the first one, make contact with the second one, and take 2 of them out of the way. leaving a center guard of your own. Let's see how deep they want to take this one. On it right off from Jump Street here. Trying to hold it. Got to get past the yellow. Gotta squeeze. Gotta squeeze. Oh, and just got that last bit of mustard out of the bottle.
Ends up working as a second guard. Pretty tough to get at the red and the 4-foot right now, so looking at the run back again. I wasn't sold on the run back last time she made it. I don't think she's got a choice this time.
Needs to come up a hair. Now it does. Ooh. And just
come up another hair.
Just lay in another guard here. Just want to make sure you keep the angles right. Right, Shawn?
Yeah, like she had indicated just off the center line, but you got to make sure you overlap these enough that she can't just come directly at the tight guard. Doesn't have to overlap a lot. Needs a piece of the center line, though.
So the rock from Clifford. Just need a little bit more legs,
Yeah,
and there is a port through.
Yeah, I don't think that curled enough. They seem happy with it, but I mean the shot's there. In fact, they even left the stagger the right way because coming through the port, she's going to need to curl just a little bit at the end so that she doesn't dead stuff it. Oh, I'm not playing that turn at it. That's reverse stagger on the guards. This is the much harder way to play this. By the time you're by the long guard, I don't see how you're hitting it on the broom side. If you're hitting it on the other side, you're going to stuff it.
I think that same thought entered their heads. It needed to remain there, though.
Yeah, this is an easier shot from the other turn.
So shot on Lind. They are going to get past the first one. They're not going to get past the second one.
Well, it's tough with that reverse stagger. Now, they made sure they didn't hit the red one, but then you didn't have a lot of room to get by the second one. Now, Serena Gray Withers is seeing a chance to maybe end this game in 7.
They're going to go back to the high guard, it looks like.
Yeah, I didn't mind her first call because if you get around just to the full 12 around, like she can make the double on the tight one and the one you're about to throw, but she can't get to the shot rock. you make the guard, she's always going to have some kind of a double peel that might go into it.
So the second from Clifford. Just leaving halfway. Don't want to get too much tighter.
Well, it's going to over curl. It's just a question of by how much. It got away with it. It's in a good spot. There's enough of an overlap on everything that she doesn't have any easy double peels, and she's got nothing that goes into the shot stone. Straight back on the long red, try to move 3 red guards, but again, nothing's coming back in towards shot stone.
So what would you feel your best option is other than find a way to throw red?
Well, I'm not sure it would be this, but I get what she's looking at. If you can get something cornered on that red shot stone, you only need to be able to make 1 run in, and it might be for 2. It's not looking like you're going to get out of the end any other way. I guess maybe I don't mind this shot. If you could get there the other way, it would be preferable, because all the yellows that are sitting out there, if you had to run one of them in, you'd like to be cornered on that side. If she corners it from this side, she's got nothing she could run in onto her own stone.
Needs to get past the guard first. Needs to get there. Well, they're on the rings, but not deep enough.
No. It forces Serena to make a decision. I mean, she could, if she wanted to get rid of that Yellowstone, she could. She could hit the outside of the red. The problem is, if she spins out of the way at all, she opens up a path to shot stone. She could come right around everything. There's still 4 stones to come. I mean, if this is the way things looked for Kayleigh Shannon on her last stone, she'd play an angle raise on the long yellow. And it's for 2 if she makes it. But, I mean, she could give up 2 just as easily. Looks like she's trying to take that away. She's playing the corner guard. Don't know if I love that on your first one.
So which one are you going to try to take away?
Well, we're not at ice level. It's hard to see for sure, but to me, it looks like the only one that she can really get through 2-shot rock is the long guard. And the way to take it away probably is to come underneath it a little bit. Get a corner underneath that yellow that's the top of the split screen, so that there's no angle available to drive it towards shot stone. Well, she's throwing a corner on the other side. This makes no sense. There's nothing over there. There's a draw for 1. Well, she can have the draw for 1. I'm not convinced that took it away anyway. You know, it'd be tempting right now to play that angle run, because if you don't make it on the first one, there's going to be another guard available to run it back on the second one.
Pull the trigger now.
Yeah, because you're still going to have a shot over there on the second one. You play anything else, like it's a tough draw through the other side, and really it's still probably not for 2. If it's even there, it's debatable. There is some risk with this. If you hit this yellow a little too thin, you drive it onto the red-yellow combination at the top, and you're in big trouble, but you're already in big trouble. Here's the other side of it. I don't know whether they've thought about this yet or not, but if you make that run, I'm not sure how Grey Weather stops you. Well, I guess she'd play the red-yellow combination. That's the only way she stops you from getting 3. because everything's buried.
Right. It does look like they're considering giving this a go.
The angle's not bad. I mean, it's not one of those ones where you're only trying to hit a quarter. Oh, they can't be thinking about making anything off the tight one.
That's a very difficult shot.
That's a very, very thinny enough. Unless they're looking at what they might be looking at is play the split off the tight one. Hard to get them both into the rings.
And you still have to find a way to get to shot rock later.
Well, yeah, if you're playing the split, you're kind of hoping to put one in a better spot. She's looking at the straight draw, trying to get there. Now, this is the shot that I thought she should have played the last time if she was going to draw, because if you make the corner freeze from this side, now when you're running that guard in, yellow onto the one you're about to throw, it's angled to jam. Like, had you made this on the last one, you'd have been in good shape, or as good as you could be when you're looking at shots like this. Playing it from the other side first, if they corner froze the other side, they still couldn't run any of these guards in from this side. All you do is pick the yellow out. So this will get her a better freeze. I'm just not sure we're not 1-2 shot too late to be playing this.
So Kayleigh Shannon once again being called on for a tough shot. And this is not going to get past the guard at all.
No, but if they get the shooter in, it still could work. Didn't get it in, did leave a better angle, like, 'cause it's a shorter run, right?
Right. You just hit that then, right?
Yeah, well, you hit it almost at the same time, and the red probably comes into the yellow in the 12-foot too. And your shooter stays right there to guard shot stone. It's almost like you're playing a double on the yellow-red. This is interesting because I almost think you want to hit the yellow first. And she's setting out for the out turn, but she's got that little bit of a positive release on her out turn. So I think she's expecting just to, at the very least, hold straight, maybe even back up just a bit.
Her final, the 7th. Pretty close.
Yeah, just a little thin. Worked out, though.
Leave a guard, and you leave another one in the rings, too. And it can be a very difficult test to get your one here now.
Yeah, the angle run's not there now. That shooter's in the way.
And you need to move this rock.
Yeah, it's probably there with the amount of curl that we've seen, but it's not easy. She's got to move it. I mean, she's only going to be fighting the top of the 4-foot, so she's got to move it all the way through the 4-foot. She's going to have back 12 out of her hand to move it that far. You lose a little bit of weight on the transfer to the other stone, so you can't just throw back 8. It won't get out of the 4-foot.
Kayleigh Shannon, her final rock of the 7th. To keep this game going. Weight's pretty good. Now it needs to move. Needs to come on over. Let it take that curl. Now it does. Tight past that guard. You got to move it. Now, is it going to go enough? No. And it's going to be a steal 1 and a 5-1 lead. And we'll be back right after this.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out.
Our very own Ryan Jakes. We hope you tune in with us here on Curling Stadium and stay with us all weekend long. We have lots of games coming to you from a couple different tournaments this weekend. So for Shawn, Joyce, I'm Dave Schmel. I thank you so much for watching. Have a pleasant evening.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.